all I see is 50 clowning Diddy. All I see is headlines like Diddy house got raided, and like no one really know what's going on. But from my understanding as of right now is that he's just facing allegations. No criminal charges has been against him. So let's see what Eboni K Williams have to say. Also, shout out to Eboni K Williams. I met her once a few years ago. She was really cool. She was really dope. Like she was giving me like some advice in this media game on like how to speak, and she was very cordial, very helpful. So ever since I met her that day, I started following her, and she's doing her thing. Let's get into this episode. I mean, into this clip right. Wait. Pause it. Wi-Fi's killing me.
An attorney, a former Real Housewife of New York, and the host of the podcast Holding Court with Eboni K Williams on the iHeart Network, which, by the way, is fresh off an NAACP Image Award win. Let's get that out the way first, okay? The podcast features on news, or is featured on newsmaking cases and famous faces. Please welcome the lovely Eboni K Williams. How you doing, girl? Long time no see. How have you been?
Smith, it's been a minute. Congratulations, brother. You look amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
I appreciate
yes,
it. So do you.
Thank
you. Let's get right into it because we got a lot of stuff to get into.
Yes,
we got a
we
lot
do.
of stuff, especially as it entails you directly and in a good way. But before we even get into that, I got to ask you right now.
Yeah.
You know about this case, and we've talked about this case against Sean P. Diddy Combs, obviously being accused of sexual assault, sexual trafficking, engaging in other criminal activity.
Excuse me.
You've seen all of this take place, all of this come in motion. What were your thoughts when you first heard about it?
Well, Stephen, I can't say I'm surprised. Unfortunately, we are still very much, as a society and as a culture, dealing with the continued reckoning, as it will, with Me Too. So we know no industry is untouched. And so there was just a matter of time before we saw more of it as it relates to hip hop. So the allegations are horrendous. We all kind of, I think, were rocked a bit in late November 2023 when we saw the original Cassie of it all, which really started what became a snowball of what we've seen thus far. There's at least 6 current litigation spaces in which he's named, and the most recent being where he's a named defendant, not accused of sex assault, but of aiding and abetting the sex assault of allegedly his son. We're talking about Christian Combs.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's sad, it's heavy. Of course, all allegations at this point, he's not been convicted of anything. In fact, he's not been criminally charged.
That's right.
Of anything.
And
I
what
think
do we
that's
make of
important.
that? What do we make about the fact that it's been going on for weeks now? We've seen Homeland Security raid his homes in both Miami and Los Angeles, but no arrest has taken place because of your legal mind, your legal expertise. What do you make about the fact that no charges have been leveled against him as of yet?
I don't make much of it, Stephen. The feds are fetting. That's what that tells me. The federal government is. We've been aware for weeks. I assure you, this has been going on for months in terms of the investigation. Months of collecting evidence, getting witnesses to collaborate particular stories and testimonies. What we're seeing now are kind of probably the final stages of what this investigation looks like. We know the recent, you're talking about the home, and I want to get back to the Homeland Security piece, not the FBI.
That's right.
All federal agencies, but they're a little different. I want to spend some time there in a second, put a pin in it. But the fact that they specifically, Stephen A., recently collected cell phones, other electronic devices, that's kind of the end of the road, as we say. Those are going to be the final pieces that they're looking to corroborate, probably some pre-existing testimonials for I would imagine, a long list of potential witnesses.
Let's go there for a second. When we talk about Homeland Security, the difference between local PD, FBI, Homeland Security, What are we to make of the fact that Homeland Security is the one that raided these homes as opposed to the FBI or local police?
That part is fascinating to me. Now that's where I'm interested, really, really interested, because normally we would see sex trafficking, racketeering. It sounds a lot like recently what we saw with R. Kelly. It sounds like other things we've seen in the headlines. The fact that it's not the FBI and it's Homeland Security. Homeland Security, Stephen A., is a relatively new federal division.
Okay.
We just got it post 9/11. It is a direct result of 9/11. So it triggers certain things, right? It normally triggers terrorism, to be quite direct, issues around border control, border safety. So when you think of some of these civil litigations that name Puffy right now, some of them also include the illegal selling of arms, the illegal selling of drugs, in addition to the sex trafficking. So I don't want to put the cart before the horse. We don't want to do any too much speculation here, but there's something awry where they're thinking that there's something dealing with the border issue and potentially a foreign threat of some nature. It's got to be in the mix for them to go with Homeland Security.
And the one thing that comes to my mind.
All right, so I never knew the difference. Let me Google this. Get a better understanding. What the hell does what's the difference?
When we talk about sex trafficking, obviously that's
Correct,
something that could
correct,
be
correct.
of an international variety, and obviously it entails crossing the borders, and that might be the justification
I think
as
you
to
might
why
be onto
Homeland Security got involved.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the case's former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
All right. So according to what she said, the difference is that Homeland Security has to do with more border patrol, security, the FBI. So the FBI investigates federal crimes. Homeland Security protects the country's borders. CI is strictly an intelligence agency that operates in foreign countries. The local police investigate responsible local level. Right. Figure out. I want to know why the Homeland Security is on doing this investigation. I've never heard of any border issues with Diddy. Mostly sex trafficking, sexual assault. But let's first understand to ensure a homeland that is safe, secure, against terrorism and other potential threats. This is what I'm talking about. Why is Homeland doing it? Why is Homeland raiding Diddy's crib? So here the department works includes customs, border and immigration enforcement, emergency response to natural and man-made disasters, anti-terrorism work, and cybersecurity. So if that's their main objective, why are they coming after Diddy and not the FBI? That's what I find interesting. Eboni did say that it also has to do with it also has to do with drugs, but the only thing that I remember about drugs and the Diddy situation was supposedly he had like a drug mule, supposedly. Let me see. Diddy drug mule? Well, fake drug mule. Supposedly he got arrested. That's all allegedly. It was in March. All right, let's check out the New York Post. Diddy Combs alleged drug mule looks worried and body cam video. That's on charges. All right, this is why I wanted to really get into it because you see these, you see these headlines and you just believe sometimes you believe what the headline is saying. I don't think Diddy is I can't see Diddy selling drugs or having someone sell drugs for him. Filthy rich, unless he was broke, right? All right, so Diddy's alleged drug mule appeared glum and resigned Monday. A video of his arrest at a Florida airport. Body cam footage shows former college basketball player Brendan Paul being led from a U.S. Customs and Border Protection building handcuffs to an awaiting Miami-Dade police squad car. Wearing a blue hoodie and sandals, Paul, 25, said nothing as he walked to the vehicle and was placed inside. Sportsman turned music producer, former Syracuse guard, was taken to custody at Opelika Airport after federal agents intercepted Diddy's plane, which he was aboard. Paul was booked on possession of cocaine and marijuana candy, according to an arrest. What does he have to do with? Bonded out of jail shortly after, and his current whereabouts are unknown. The drugs allegedly found on his person have not been linked to music exec Diddy, who is currently under federal investigation. Paul was an unlikely figure in the lawsuit against Diddy and others by music Jones, who alleged Ohio resident as Diddy's drug mule and obtained firearms for him. Okay, so that's why the Homeland Security is on him? Is it this guy? Okay, so here they give a breakdown. Oh, Brendan Paul's a music producer and basketball player. So Brendan Paul, music producer and basketball player, arrested. To board Combs' private jet. Paul has been a drug mule for Combs in a federal lawsuit. So maybe I mean, he was out on bond, but I wonder if they put pressure on him and he's gonna snitch or something. So maybe that's why. I guess that's the reason then. Let's see what else it says here. So at least 4 Jane Doe and 1 John Doe have been interviewed by New York prosecutor in the connection to sex trafficking allegations and a RICO case. Sheesh. The rapper was accused of drugging, filming, and sexually assaulting. So here they talk more about this guy who used to play basketball. The picture of him and Diddy. Okay, he went on later to produce for Diddy on the Love album, which was September. Federal agents descended on the Bad Boy Records founder's home. Okay, his attorneys. All right, so I guess one of the reasons why Homeland Security came after Diddy is because he had this producer who was trying to smuggle drugs, but it's not like he was caught with like 20 kilos. You know what I mean? Like he probably had those drugs for himself. You know what I mean? Like for Homeland to like stretch it to that extent, I don't know how the sex traffic has to do with border patrol unless Diddy has women coming from foreign countries. This is where it gets a little blurry. And like Ebony said, bro, it's still a civil case. It's not a criminal. There's no criminal charges yet. They're still investigating. Um, I do have a conspiracy theory. Have y'all ever seen The Black Godfather on Netflix? Um, it was this individual who was a beast who had ties to like everyone in the music industry. A very positive guy, influential guy. You know, he had connections with politicians, music, entertainers, and movies. And there was a time when Diddy was not on the streets, but he had issues in the '90s with a lot of people, and he actually helped out Diddy. Diddy's also in that documentary. He passed away last year, I think. Let me get the guy's name, but he was considered the Black Godfather because he knew everyone. He put people together. He even like worked with like Quincy Jones. This is a dope documentary. I'm not saying that he was supporting this in any way, but after he passed away, like a lot of things happened to Diddy. That's my conspiracy. I'll call it my fake conspiracy theory. I'm not saying this actually happened, but like people coming after Diddy now is crazy. And like Ebony said, after Cassie, right after that, let me see the Black Father. By the way, I highly recommend this documentary. Yep. His name is Clarence Avon, I think. What's his name at? Yep, Clarence Avon. I wonder if he's still alive. He would have helped him out. So he just recently passed away, though. Did he pass away? and Barack Obama and Bill Clinton is in this documentary. That's how you know how much juice this guy had. Fortunately, he just passed away. Rest in peace. Yep, last year, 2023. 92 years old. So that'll be my fake conspiracy theory. I wonder if he was alive, he would have protected Diddy or something. Look, I believe Diddy had orgies and stuff. To me, that's, I don't really care, but if if he had orgies, it's fine, but if he was recording people without their consent, that's a crazy violation. And supposedly there was an underage person, right? These are again all allegations. I'm looking forward to see what really happened and to see if he's actually gonna face any charges. Let's continue this.
Ventura, she brought against him. It was settled a day after it was filed. Is that what set all of this in motion, in your estimation?
It did. I can't help it. When you read it, I think of what my grandmother would have said: a day late and a dollar short.
Yes.
One day. Well, and let's kind of just name it, right? The one day says that obviously Mr. Combs and his legal team might have thought this was a bluff, and sometimes this happens when you're on the back end, meaning you're on the legal representation side. Side of these types of lawsuits, Stephen A. Know that before somebody walks that lawsuit and gets it filed in the clerk of court, there have been numerous what we call pre-litigation conversations. Lawyers picking up the phone, calling your legal team. Well, do we have an opportunity to settle this? Well, I don't think so. Well, all of that led to no resolution, which is why the lawsuit was actually filed and then settled a day later. It tells me, Stephen A., that they likely thought that the lawsuit would never actually see the light of day, that there would be so much probably fear, anxiety, hesitation, that some of the, let's just say, horrendous and horribly egregious details that we all read in that very lengthy lawsuit from Cassie would never want to be exposed. The fact that there was a willingness to finally go there publicly prompted the very quick 24 hours. I don't think I've ever seen something publicly so quick, the settlement there. And yes, to answer your question, it set everything in motion. It opened the door, as we say, to now what we're seeing as a litany of civil litigation attempts.
Another woman, Joey Dickerson Neal.
Yes.
She filed a lawsuit a day before the Adult Survivors Act expired.
Yes, she
First
did.
of all, explain the Adult Survivors Act, please, and its relevance.
I can. So I just recently stepped aside from my tenure. I served 6 years, Stephen A., on a board of directors for a wonderful organization called Safe Horizon. We are the largest victims advocacy group for services of victims of violent crime in the country. We specialize on New York. I named the organization because we were very vital in leading what became a legislative effort. So I want to be very clear. The Sexual Survivors Act is a law. It is specific to the state of New York, and it allows a look-back window of 1 year. It says that if you have been abused and you want to be able to prove that in a court of civil law, so none of this is criminal, this is civil. These are lawsuits, civil litigation remedies. You have 1 year to bring your claim. A claim that previously would have not been viable due to statutes of limitations. So you could have been alleging that you were assaulted or harmed 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Well,
literally.
Dickerson Neal claims that nearly 32 years ago, the incident with her and P. Diddy Combs took place.
Let's think about, what's it, Jean Carroll, who recently won her lawsuit against Trump. I think it's on appeal again now. That was, 40 years ago, something plus, all of a result of this look-back window. So this young lady, Joy, was able to file 1 day before the expiration of that. And I think people thought there were going to be more. I'll tell you, in the legal community, Stephen A., we were expecting even more people to come forward right before that look-back window.
Thanks again to the wonderful Eboni K Williams. To catch